Well, hello and good day to all of you joining us from the various corners of the earth. Thank you for being here today for this webinar. I'm Tad Bradley, one of the North American sales reps for Ultimate Safaris, and I'm based out in Seattle, Washington, which, despite its reputation, is absolutely glorious, bright and sunny today, if a bit cold. Although I guess for those of you joining us from the Midwest and Chicago and that area, our temperatures would probably feel like beach weather. So seriously, guys, those of you back in that Arctic freeze, please stay warm, bundled up, and stay safe in the cold. So today we are continuing our Namibia webinar series with a bit of a detour south to the Sossusvlei area. We just couldn't wait to introduce you to Ultimate's latest project, the stunning and truly unique private villa called the Nest at Sossus. And as usual, for these excellent Namibia webinars, I'm joined by Birgit Bekker, Ultimate Safari's amazing marketing and sales director, who joins us all the way from Windhoek. And Birgit, I trust you wouldn't describe your weather as cold today, eh?
No, we had a bit of rain, yay! But it's sunny again, it's quite hot. It was even a little humid, which never happens really here. So let's hope it's the first of many rains, which is a good thing in Namibia, even though we're not just one giant desert, as a lot of people seem to think. So yeah, I'm really excited. Good day.
Thanks, B. And just a few notes before we get started. We will answer questions at the end of the presentation, so feel free to pop those into the questions module there on your screen. And we are also recording the webinar, so don't worry if you have to step out to take a sales call, hopefully a sales call about Namibia, selling a Namibia safari. Or if you do want to share this with any colleagues who weren't able to attend, you'll be able to do so with that recording, which we'll send a link to after the presentation later today. And then I am going to let Birgit really dive into the details on this amazing house, as she's the native Namibian and she knows it far better than I. But I did have the opportunity to experience the Nest in person when I was visiting Namibia with my family last April. And all I can say is just wow. It's truly one of the most extraordinary architectural and design achievements and buildings that I've ever witnessed myself personally. And it does have the awards and the magazine covers to prove it. But equally stunning, I think, and Birgit will cover this as well, as the private Namib Tsaris Conservancy, where the Nest is located. And believe me, spending that extra third night to fully explore, and you have the time to fully explore this incredible desert oasis of this conservancy is well worth it. But I'll let Birgit explain to you more about why to do that and how to work this incredible house into your Namibian safaris. I don't want to preempt your presentation, Birgit, so you, our virtual tour guide, please take it from here and introduce us to the Nest at Sossus.
Okay, thanks, Ted. And for those, you'll probably notice that sometimes there's a lag between when I talk and the slides move. Ted actually manages the slides. Namibian internet is too slow to multitask both on the slides and me babbling away. So thank you, everybody, for coming in and listening in today's webinar. I believe we even have the owner of the Nest at Sossus listening in today, Sven Bachran, I should say it proper in German. So no pressure on me to get the facts right, hey? For those that don't know me and maybe a little bit confused by the German accent, I'm Namibian born, 4th generation Namibian actually, German speaking. And this is the 23rd, 24th year in Namibian tourism. So I've been pretty much around the country 10 times fold over. So I'm really excited that after all these decades in tourism, I still get something that's completely new and original and really gets me excited. And this news of what's happening with Ultimate Safaris and introducing you to our latest venture, the exclusive use villa of the Nest at Sossus, which Ted says located on the Namib Tsaris Reserve. Now, this reserve was previously called Neuhof Reserve and was founded by landscape conservationist Sven Bachran in 2010, who has since then developed it into one of probably the most picturesque and ecologically sound tracts of desert land in the entire Sossusvlei area. It has beautiful gravel plains, mountainous areas, dry river valleys running through it, as well as a stunning large raised plateau, which basically overlooks the entire Namib Plains on the bottom there. Now, the design of the Nest Sossus was inspired by the structure of a sociable weaver's nest. For those that are familiar with it, it's literally these giant nests built by the social weavers in usually acacia trees. It took up to 8 years, including a 3-year rebuild, to be completed. Created by Sven, designed by Porky Hefner, and decorated by Maybe Kopachi. It's really, truly one of the most extraordinary places in Namibia. We host our guests only on an exclusive basis, which means your guests will never share with other guests. So whether you have 4 guests or 7 guests, they'll always be on their own at the villa, hosted personally by a top team of hospitality professionals, including a gourmet French Namibian chef, private butler, our top senior guide, and experienced lodge managers with decades of experience behind her. They personally host your guests for the duration of this villa. Now, as you can imagine, the operational logistics and expenses of hosting guests are quite expensive. We bring in this crew each time, especially to host guests. And therefore, it's probably best to be sold for groups of 4 up to 7 guests. We have hosted guests of 2. They just have to be aware they're covering basically the operational costs on their own, and no expenses spared to provide the most amazing high-end exclusive experience out there. What has really came apparent is that this villa is especially children-friendly. Consider this villa is exclusive for the family. There are no other guests that are kind of inconvenienced by the family. Everything's tailor-made to host the family, and it's really worked really well. When we unofficially hosted some families last year at the villa, we haven't really officially opened it, but we had some demand for specially high-end families, and every single one of them rated this as the best experience in the entire Namibian safari. I mean, the pictures don't do justice for the experience of this villa, and you'll see, we'll show you pictures coming up, but seeing is believing is sometimes the best way. Now, in 2018, we hosted a few journalists as well. Again, we weren't open, but we had, by chance, some journalists coming to the country. They included Stanley Stewart, Lisa Granger, and Peter Brown. And we were so surprised by the publicity that Nest Sossus got. It was featured in the Conde Nast Traveller, in the Travel and Leisure magazine, in Porter magazine, in the Wallpaper Magazine. So surprising for a lodge that hasn't even officially opened yet, the good press we received, which just shows you Namibia is super cool now. Things are happening. It's not the same old stale out. What's really excited is that we were just announced was that we won the prestigious Wallpaper Design Award for Best New Private House. And Ted, you can just move over to the next slides. It's really, really exciting, because if you look at the company that the Nest Sossus was competing against, which included Shapeshifter House in Reno, it's an amazing achievement, not just for Namibia, but I think for Africa overall. On the next slide, you actually see some of the people that were nominated for the best private house by Wallpaper and the judges. I mean, it's been very much a high-end kind of market. So, yay, Namibia! Now I'll go into more of the facts, after we did all the gushing about how exciting it is that people are talking about this. The official opening is going to be in April 2019. The villa's complete, it's done, but we're doing some back of house additions, additional staff quarters, pilot rooms, little things like that. It was really good for us to do a soft launch on the families we had before and do the little nitty-gritty. But the villa is complete. Now, one thing we can't emphasize enough is that ideally you want to stay a minimum of 3 nights. This deal includes hot air ballooning, which is similar to the And Beyond deal, except that this is year-round available, except for the January-February dates when Namib Sky is closed. It's weather permitting the ballooning and non-refundable if it does cancel because of weather. But basically, year-round, we'll offer the ballooning included. The Nest Sossus is also a year-round destination. We don't have a high and low season. There's no best time to come or worst time to come. It really works well in the family holiday seasons. Now, we have hosted guests for 2 nights. It's not that we don't want to host people for less than 3 nights, although we have found that the feedback has already been, I wish we stayed longer for those families that did only stay 2 nights. So it's really the experience. This is not just come, arrive, and move out again. you really want to enjoy the experience of the villa. Now, the villa has a maximum of only 3 double rooms and a kiddies room. And it's important to note that the double rooms come with a double bed each. They don't have these twin beds you can pull apart. The base can't be pulled apart. So it is quite an intimate experience with the 3 bedrooms, and we therefore recommend generally for close-knit families or friends or couples, but there's no twin bed options on the 3 bedrooms. And the 4th room is your kiddies room. It has these really quirky, cool bunk bed pods. Kids love it. You can see it's a very intimate, homely, creative experience. So generally that's why families work really well. Or couples that are friends, 3 couples traveling together, they have to be familiar with each other, because this is a luxurious home. It isn't just a lunch suite or anything like that. And all the bathrooms have their own ensuite. The lounge area is probably the heart of the villa. It really invites you to sit back and relax. We have a projector there. The last family, we actually presented the Vanishing Kings documentary, which is about the desert lions. And they were really excited because they just came from Juan and saw a desert lion. And then they saw the movie and the context behind it. It's really the kind of place where people, again, invited, 3 nights, linger. There's a writing desk. There's no TV. So the projector is all the big event. We're making popcorn and just sit back and have a holiday. You know, everybody's so busy doing. No one enjoys just being sometimes. Now, Sven himself is an avid art collector, and you'll see really the quirky design of the nest inside. But the outside has a variety of really original art installations. Basically, this clay head next you see on your right, I think it's about 3 meters high. It's quite a sight when you arrive at the villa and you come among this artistic art, and everything's unique. He's really inspired to add again that special, unique character to the villa, a lot of talking points that makes it really an exciting experience. The outside area has a pool, playground for the kids, even a ping pong table under the acacia trees. We have a floodlit water hole. You really, again, kids can run around. It's actually really nice, soft river sand that the kids can run around barefoot. Just watch out for the acacia thorns, but we tend to sweep and keep it clean. And there's a water hole, a floodlit water hole. Now, the Namib Tsaris Conservancy is surprisingly diverse with its wildlife sightings, considering this is a desert area. Oryx, springbok, Hartmann's mountain zebra, Birchhill zebra, kudu, hartebeest, giraffe, steenbok, klipspringer, bat-eared fox, aardvolves, and even spurs were seen of spotted hyena, and once in a blue moon, a leopard. So it's really exciting what you see just on the reserve itself. But the villa and amenities is definitely the place you can just enjoy to the fullest. But there's, of course, the main top to-do list, which is Sossusvlei, probably Namibia's premier highlight tourist attraction. And the Namib Tsaris Reserve Gate is only a 40-minute gate to the Sesstream Gate, so still very good access. We take our guests in our specially modified Toyota Land Cruisers with air conditionings. For those that are familiar with the ultimate safaris fleet, the personal guide takes them to Sossusvlei. We surprise them with this gorgeous brunch set up by the chef. This is not just the normal sandwiches under the tree. We go all out after climbing the dunes, surprise them with this brunch in the desert, usually come back to the nest afterwards and do the activities there. And the second morning, of course, we take them to ballooning if they have a 3-night special. The balloon side is usually from the geluk things. And it's a perfect 2-night early morning experience. But then after we get all the tourist attractions out of the way, we focus on what really makes this place special. And that's exploring the Namib Tsaris Reserve. Because you basically have your own desert paradise to yourself, away from the tourist masses. For those that know Sossusvlei, are well familiar with the buses and self-drivers and every tour operator scrambling to see the dunes. And it's all very exciting. But isn't the desert meant to be enjoyed in silence and tranquility, away from people? So we offer guided walks. We have beautiful hiking trails, long and short ones. The nice thing is if you have a lodge, a villa that is exclusively set up for you, we cater the activities to your interest. So if you want an extended hike up the plateau, we do it. If you just want a gentle stroll after dinner, we can do it. We offer gorgeous stargazing. I mean, the night skies are unprecedented up here. And one of the surprise highlights, which we tend to surprise our guests with, is driving up the plateau and having a lunch out there set up. You can't see on these slides very well, but in the far distance on the west, you actually see a perfect line of the Sossusvlei dunes framing the horizon. The ballooning, as I mentioned, we do this really cool surprise gin sundowner spot with Namibian gins. And something that we're really introducing more and more is active things, soft adventure. We've just brought in some mountain bikes to explore some of the jeep trails. This is not technical. You don't require to be a hardcore mountain biker. Fitness is not a bad idea. But again, there are different trails we do. We've cycled up the plateau and taken the drive down. Everybody wants to drive freewheel down the plateau again. And it's just magnificent. That's when you really get the feel for the desert. Not that blare of a Land Cruiser and the diesel, but you own heavy breathing, trying to get onto the roads here. Really, again, this is specially catered per family. So if you have a family that doesn't want to do active things, it's fine. There's no lodge routine. This is your desert paradise. Access to the villas is very easy. We access them via the Hammerstein airstrip nearby. You can access it by road. So it's an easy, accessible destination that feels like you're at the end of the world. And this is just a little overview on what we do at the Nest Sossus. Sometimes people try to grasp the concept, like how do I sell it, and how do you do this? So of course, beyond the obvious Sossusvlei tourist attractions that we want to go and stuff like that, is basically sell it as your own personal desert paradise. You explore by foot, by vehicle. It's unique. The villa looks stunning. It's like nothing else in Namibia. It's kind of getting away from it all. It works good at the end of a Namibian safari as well as the beginning of a trip. And it's really about getting away from the troubles of the world, privately hosted by one of the best hospitality teams on the continent. And I'm not saying this lightly, since I've been doing this for 22 years and I used to be involved in writing complaint letters or apologies to complaint letters. Best team. Experience specially tailored to the individual needs of your guests. A place where you can breathe deeply and go, oh, this is what it's all about. The feedback we've had so far has been tremendous, and I can't wait for the official opening and welcoming your guests, of course, and help you further with this. So this is it. It's a snapshot of what we do at the Nest. We have some upcoming fam trips coming in April and May, a pre-Indaba trip, and we'll actually do a visit to the Nest as well as other properties of Ultimate. So welcome to join us on that. But I hope you get some value out of this. I hope it gives you a little bit of an idea what all this buzz is about and why we were getting excited. Seeing is believing. But yeah, we're very excited to be involved in this unique new venture. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Birgit. Brought back some good memories from my visit last April, although I was there after all the rain in March, and it was so lush and green, and it looked like almost the plains almost looked like a golf fairway. It was so green that April last year. So of course we never know with the rain, but it is truly a stunning reserve, and the Nest is equally as stunning in that location as well, which I wonder if you could just describe where on the reserve it's located and kind of tucked into that on the edge of the escarpment in that little valley, because I think it feels very private in that corner of the reserve as well.
What do you mean, Ted? I mean, where exactly located?
Yeah, exactly. Just tucked into that corner of the reserve, and how it's so private in that back corner.
Oh yeah, I mean, you basically drive along the river systems. You don't really aware where you're at, and then you come close to the mountain ridge or the base of one of the mountains, and you actually don't see it until you're nearly close to the villa, and then you go, "Whoa, this is interesting." You come past the clay house head first, and then suddenly there it is, tucked away. Yeah, very special.
We have a few questions here. This is a great one. Which other properties does the Nest combine well with for a full Namibia family itinerary?
Well, I think up and coming now that Serra is open and new and spiffing, absolutely works well there. Uh, generally, you want something more smart, private. So Little Ongava with only 3 suites kind of keeps that flow of something small and private. And anything. I mean, let's face it, the up and coming Skeleton Coast Shipwreck Lodge, Huanip Skeleton Coast Camp, and Huanip Valley camps. You want to encourage people to just go everywhere that's remote. So you don't want to get them in the tourist attractions, which, Etosha is. So if you go, for example, to Little Ongava, you still go into the park at Etosha, and there are lots of people there. But Little Ongava itself is pretty private. But you want to combine this with the diversity of Namibian deserts. And I think that's where Serra and the Huanip region and the Skeleton Coast combined with this really blows your mind about how different each desert is and the experience. And generally, you want to end at the nest at Sossus because, and end with the best. Leave it for the best for last, the dessert, the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, and I think just having that whole private reserve to yourself as well, and being able to enjoy a sundowner in one of the most spectacular sundowner spots on the continent with this, I forget how many hectares the reserve is, but all to yourself in this private playground is a pretty amazing feeling. And as you say, just getting away from people and being able to just be in this extraordinarily beautiful place is a great way to finish the safari. Another question is, how does the price, and I know it depends on the number of guests, but how does the price compare to other Sossusvlei area properties? Where would you peg that in?
It's so difficult because it is exclusive use, so no other Sossusvlei property will come close to it. In the peak season, however, especially now that Ambion's released their rates for 2020, pretty much, on the peak season rate, it compares reasonably well within the Ambion and their new suite. Where for especially like 6 guests, for 4 guests, you're just barely under it. Low season is a bit more challenging because Ambion and Little Kolala are 40 to 60% cheaper in the low season. That's how they're trying to promote it, of course. But on the high season rate, very much in line with a premier destination like Ambion or Wilderness.
Great. And then I guess last question here is, you outlined it a little bit or alluded to it, but just the question is just specifically outline what a 3-night itinerary could look like. What are the days? How do the days look?
Yes. Okay, that's a good question. So generally our guests arrive by early afternoon, and most people have been traveling by road and air, so we usually take them on a surprise sundowner walk to the gin spots and usually drive them back to the camp. So usually guests check in, settle in, go, ooh, wow, herd them out of the villa or not, see how they feel. There's some really nice spots where we can have some nice sundowner spots without being too exhausting. Next morning is up early to go to the gates, be there by sunrise, do the Sossusvlei excursion with the brunch, usually come back to the villa for a late lunch. It's usually too hot any time of the year to go out too early in the afternoon, so you usually wait to a bit cooler. That's where your options open up. We've just recently hosted a family where they went mountain biking in the afternoon. That's what they wanted. The other guests just enjoy a really scenic drive on the reserve. It is a beautiful reserve, and the landscape keeps changing. And we sometimes surprise them with outdoor dining, but it's so weather dependent. We don't really want to promote it unless on site, but usually have a private dinner that evening. Next morning, if they went for the ballooning, we take them to the ballooning site where they have the balloon and the lunch, brunch, come back to the villa, and the afternoon. And then, depending, we usually tend to surprise them with a brunch on the plateau, which again involves either driving up there or walking up there or cycling up there, coming back. We really catered according to the guests there. Do we want to do sundown or drive? Surprise them with a guided walk. There are these very cool, quirky rock pools on top of the plateau. Rock pools, what I was saying, dam pools. On top of the plateau, the family the other day walked there, had a swim, and then we took them back to the villa. We very quickly assess the guests' needs, and then on the ground, we pretty much cater for them. And then the last morning, people tend to want to sleep in. They just had 2 early mornings, and we let them sleep in, have a breakfast whenever they feel like it. and then we tend to take them to the airstrip or they continue their journey onwards.
Great. And
there's a lot of focus on active things, and I think that's a big emphasis here. And it's not hardcore activeness, but we have seen that people are asking to get out of the car more. You know, they're just exhausted 6-7 hours in the cars every 2 days. You know, they want to stretch their legs, and that's what we enable them. But whatever you see wildlife-wise, scenery-wise, sundowner-wise is spectacular.
And 2 other questions have just come up. How far is it to Sossusvlei from the nest?
So from the gate itself to Sesstream Gate is 40 minutes. Yeah, and then, you know, from Sesstream to the dunes is another 60 k's, etc. So it's only a little bit longer than most of the other lodges in the area.
Gotcha. And then you had mentioned the hospitality team. Question about the culinary aspect of the safari and the cuisine, and who is providing the chef services among that.
So David Thomas is the chef. He is very well renowned. He's lived in Namibia for 10 years, but he's actually a French chef, and he's completely turned around Namibian cuisine with that amazing French twist. He's hosted, we met him because he started hosting all our VIPs and multi-gazillionaires. And we actually had a Russian group last year that loved him so much they flew him to Russia to host him. So he's currently our main chef. He's training a team, and he's really on board and loves it. I mean, he is probably the best chef in Namibia.
Well, that's a good way to end this, I think. We don't have any other questions. If you do have further questions that weren't answered or that come to you, please feel free to email me or Birgit, and we'll get those answers back to you. And like I said, we'll send out a recording of this webinar later today or tomorrow, which you can watch in its entirety or share with colleagues. We'll also send a fact sheet and details on the nest, so you can have those details at your fingertips. And obviously, Birgit and her team in Windhoek are ready to answer any further questions, and hopefully to start working with you and your guests and entertaining and hosting your guests at the Nest in the very near future, with its opening a few months away. So
yeah,
thank you, Birgit.
Times in Namibia.
Always, and thank you, especially with Ultimate. You guys are always introducing incredible experiences and new and exciting venues and properties, and it's always fun to hear the latest of what's happening. So thank you for staying late at the office tonight, and hope the rain continues here and there, so we have a nice green desert oasis, a greening of the desert oasis in the next few months for the opening in April.
Great stuff. Thanks for everybody for listening in.
Take care, everyone. And again, for those of you in the Midwest, stay warm today. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.